My name is Ben Tice, owner and director of Skol Marketing. We help small business owners get online with web development and then enhance your online presence with different types of digital marketing services like SEO, SEM, social media, all of that kind of fun stuff. But my favorite part of my job is partnering with great organizations like Score to be able to put on these awesome workshops to really kind of teach you guys about these different types of topics. Even if you're doing them internally, if you're getting help externally, it's really important to know what these different types of digital marketing strategies are, how we can implement them, what's changing, and ultimately, again, figuring out an ROI for our business. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about video. So specifically, we're going to be talking about the power of video, growing our business with video, both on YouTube, which we'll predominantly be kind of talking about, but then we're also going to talk about social media, because obviously social media is a huge part of marketing, huge part of our business, and even our lives here, and how we can kind of utilize that. So today, what we're going to be going over is kind of the growth of video. We're going to go over just some stats just to kind of show you guys the power and the explosion really of video. Then we're going to start talking about navigating YouTube just basically. Then we're really going to get into the, the X's and O's, if you will, of implementing YouTube and kind of the impact of video and SEO, start talking about some analytics, and then wrap it up with some social media video and how we can take what we've learned here today on YouTube and then also apply that to other social media platforms out there. Okay, so why should we care about YouTube? That's ultimately what this slide is kind of about, or why should we even care about video even in general? So, you can kind of see some of the stats on here. A couple of them that I really kind of want to pull out is that 46%, so almost half of people have purchased directly online due to watching a video. They are super, super powerful. Also, 2/3 of people prefer watching a video to actually reading about a product or service. That one is actually absolutely, or not necessarily even mind-blowing, but mind-blowing that it's right there. And a lot of times us as marketers don't pay attention to that. We put all this time into creating our website. We put all this time into creating and writing content, but then now we look at it and 2/3 of people would actually rather watch a video than actual read about a product or service. So it's really important, and we'll kind of talk about this as we go along, but this would be a prime opportunity to maybe take your service pages and let's create videos about those services on there so we can go after 100% of people's preferences and having options of a written content kind of copywriting, as well as a video that explains that to them. And then last but not least is an average user spends 88% more time on a website that has video. Now, part of that has to do with that they're probably watching that video in there, but you can just say that it can be a really, again, crucial sticky factor to get somebody onto your site and to get them to last there longer. So a lot of times we start with saying, okay, Ben, well, that's great that we, that we should do video, but where do I start? So the first is kind of figuring out what type of video you're going to do. And so there's a lot more types of videos that I think that sometimes people realize, because I know a lot of times talking to business owners and talking to marketing professionals, a lot of times we think that our minds go straight to, hiring a professional video crew and creating a video from there. Now, again, that's not a bad way. And a lot of times that's a very good way to kind of get videos created. But for ongoing purposes, a lot of times it's going to be too cost prohibitive to kind of be able to do that. Well, as you can kind of see here on the production type, there are several different types of videos that you can kind of create. So one of them is the professional video crew that we kind of talked about, hiring a videographer out, working with their professionals to kind of be able to do that. But we can also make great videos with our mobile devices. We can also make great videos with our laptops. We can also make great videos where you don't even have to be on camera, and we could do an infographic or kind of customized stock video. So if you've heard of Powtoons, promo video, iMovie, these ones, again, are great opportunities for you to kind of create videos and you don't even have to be on camera. Now, I do recommend potentially using a mobile device or a laptop to be able to kind of create videos that you are on camera, because a lot of times people do want to engage, and especially with small businesses, there's kind of that human component that we can really get into a video that humanizes us and can really, have us connect with a potential user that much further. But it is important to know that there are also infographic and custom animation type of videos that, again, you don't even have to customize yourself. There's a lot of templates out there with some of the names that we just talked about. The next is looking at the style of video. So we can look at the production type, but then it's a matter of what are we actually doing the video of? And here are just some kind of examples, again, to kind of get your potential, again, juices flowing of, again, creatively, what you can go after. So one of the more popular ones is a commercial or services, kind of a value prop. So at Skol Marketing, again, with our different services, having videos around those. If you're a, again, landscaper, having videos around the different services that you offer. If you have products, doing product videos, and seeing people and seeing, again, what they're doing with your product, having it in motion, all of those things can be done. Also, a behind the scenes video, especially if you're a product based or manufacturing, that can be super powerful where you can actually take people behind the scenes and see how their products are made. Or even if you're not, maybe you're a service company, or maybe you're even just a corporate company, you can see the people behind kind of the business. Also, another good idea too is if you're completely stuck on where to go, the first usually recommendation I give behind maybe like your services would be blogs. Take your blogs that you've already taken a lot of time and effort into, and now let's create a video around those different blog topics. So, start pulling the different blog topics, and of course, just don't go on a screen and read it, but you might be able to take that as a discussion point. You might be able to create a script around it. You might be able to take an infographic video around a certain blog topic that you've already put the effort into and either paid for or written yourself. Informational or resource, kind of like a how-to. Maybe you are a auto mechanic and you're going to do a video of how to change your oil. You're a, again, a tree trimmer, and you're going to say, hey, how do you prune, again, your trees and do upkeep? Again, we can do some how-to and informational things that are supplemental to with the products and services that we offer. We can create videos for that. Not only is that great to potentially do some SEO stuff, which we'll talk about here later, but also it allows us to kind of, again, connect to users in that you're giving them something that isn't always necessarily selling as well. And then last but not least is if maybe if you have a big update or event. Now, of course, we could do it, if we have a big anniversary coming up, if we have a big, again, event even, or something to announce internally, we can do some more, again, lower level kind of social type of videos with that type as well. So you can kind of see here, and you can obviously cross-reference all of these. You could do a laptop video for all of the ones on the right. You could do an infographic video for all the different styles of videos. So it's kind of nice that you can really start to see that the numbers really speak for themselves, and you shouldn't have a lack of opportunity or lack of topics on what you're going to be able to do videos about. And last but not least is always remember just to be repurposing your content. A prime example of that was like a blog. You spent time, efforts, and potentially even budget to have that blog created. Let's potentially repurpose that into a video. So it's always thinking about how can we repurpose our content and, again, work smarter, not harder. Another thing is looking at where do we start. So now we know what type of production video or type that we want to do. And here's just some kind of, important things just to kind of remember too, really, is, when you're setting up your videos or your scripts or even just your talking points, remember, who are you talking to? Are you talking to current customers? Are you talking to potential customers? It's important to understand, again, who you're talking to and outlining the video kind of around that. Also, make sure that you're kind of preparing, even preparing your environment and your kind of surroundings. If you're going to be doing a video outside, maybe make sure that we're in a place that isn't going to have a bunch of traffic sounds or dogs barking or things like that, that could detract, of course, from your video. Also, another, again, thing is, get the tech or get kind of some of the equipment as well. So, getting a stand that it makes, again, potentially your device, if it's a laptop or a mobile device, or if you have a camera that, again, is going to stay in place. Look to potentially get a mic. Maybe it's AirPods, but maybe it's just getting a microphone on, Amazon that you can kind of be able to kind of utilize. Look at lighting. Lighting is huge. It can sometimes make or break your video. Make sure you have the different lighting, and maybe you need to get a lamp or a ring light or things like that that can kind of do it. And last but not least is looking at some editing apps to take, the footage that you guys, create and then edit it. There are a lot of them out there. We're going to talk about, today you're going to see that there is actually editing capabilities within YouTube that you can kind of utilize, but even iMovie and even some of those promo videos and, Adobe Premiere, there's a bunch of them out there that even on your phone or on your computer, but you can just get a little bit of help with some filters and some basic editing to really elevate your videos. Now, when you're filming, just again, a couple quick little tips, make sure you're being yourself, honestly, especially if we're doing social, especially if we're trying to make these kind of authentic and we're trying to connect to different users, especially locally, making sure that it is authentically yourself. Be engaging. A lot of times they say you have approximately 5 to 10 seconds to really hook somebody for your video. So make sure that we're not, again, being boring at the beginning. We've got to get into it, or we've got to have some type of hook. Also smile and use some humor if that is applicable there. Of course, make it enjoyable to actually watch and to go along with you in your video. Also having, again, at the end of your video, or even sometimes during your video, you might have multiple of these, make sure you have some type of call to action. I've seen too many videos where we put a lot of effort into them, but there's no real call to action. Even something as simple as, even if you're doing a how-to video, at the end to say, hey, if you have any issues, feel free to give us a call or check us out on our website. If you're doing a product video, hey, you can purchase this here. Again, you just need some type of call to action. Make sure that when someone is done watching your video, that they should know what you want them to do next. Now, they may not do it, but at least there's a call to action so that, they should know what you do want them to do. And one of the more important things and more questions that I get a lot of times is, Ben, what should my length of video be? Is that we look at the, again, it's really going to come down to the different types of videos. So when in doubt, if you're doing, like, for instance, a service, or a product video, most often those should probably be anywhere from 20 to maybe 60 seconds. Usually that good middle ground is around 30 seconds. That's usually a really good kind of for a value prop or informational kind of service-based type of video. That is going to be a really good length. But also that may not be your only length. Again, we're doing a video right here that we're recording that we put on our YouTube channel. These are over an hour long. But again, it wouldn't do me any benefit to splice them up just to reach kind of a length. So you kind of have to understand what you're doing the video for. But when in doubt, understand that if you're going to do kind of more of a quick kind of, commercial value prop service kind of video, around that 30 seconds. If we're going to maybe do more of a blogging video where we're going to talk, or informational resource, we're going to maybe talk a little bit more about a topic and get into it. Well, most likely then maybe we want to do around the 1.5 minutes, 2, 3, kind of 4 minute kind of range. So, that 2 to 4 minutes can be really kind of powerful because we can get a lot of information in there. And then ultimately, if it's a really long video, maybe it's a super how-to showing people how to change their oil, that's probably going to take a little bit more than 4 minutes. So again, it's understanding what your video is about and who your audience is. That's ultimately what the length of video is. I will say most of you, as you start to do videos and stuff like that, again, you'll kind of, probably be around that 30-second range. If you do some more informational blog videos, that 2 to 4 minute range, that's usually kind of a good place to at least kind of understand. And a little bit of tip is that, when in doubt, usually use landscape on your device when you're looking to kind of create a video. Sometimes if you're going social live, of course, you're going to want to do, your vertical or your portrait mode. But really you want to look to do landscape. So turn your phone over. That's going to show up a lot more because remember, a lot of our screens that we're viewing these on are going to be rectangles, especially when it comes to computers, even our phones, we can turn them over, from there. So it's just going to be much more applicable. And a lot of times, you're going to be able to display more within, someone's screen, as well as just potentially increase that call to action as well. Okay, now starting to shift into YouTube. So we talked about why video was important way at the beginning. We've kind of talked about, okay, let's get started here. What can we kind of do? Now it's important just to kind of realize why we're talking about YouTube. I'll go over these really quick and you can kind of see them here. But two biggest factors that some people don't know is that YouTube is owned by Google and is actually considered the second largest search engine in the world. So not only is it a perfect marketing tool to be able to connect with users in a visual manner, especially for instance, like we saw when 66% of people would rather watch a video about a service than actually read content on it, but also it can help our search engine optimization. And this is a place that people are going to search. So Google actually owns 1 and 2 of the largest search engines in the world. Okay, real quick, just navigating YouTube, just a couple different points. Usually when you're on YouTube, a couple things just kind of note, usually the left-hand side of your screen is more for your personal viewing. It's where you have your, your liked videos and your history and your subscriptions and all that kind of stuff. A lot of times what we're going to be dealing with is in the right-hand side or the upper right-hand side, either that little purple box that you see with the little plus symbol, which we'll get into in just a second, but that's where we can upload videos. But the biggest reason I have this on here is just to always do kind of a PSA and make sure that you're logged into the correct YouTube channel. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you can come here, log in, and they'll actually walk you through. Is it a personal? Is it a business? That's another big point too. We want to make sure that, if you're doing this for your business, that it's actually a business channel, that it has the business name on it, not just, again, your username or your personal name or anything like that. You want to brand this like the business. The other reason I make sure that we talk about this is that, unfortunately, if you were to upload videos to a channel, and you realized it, whenever if you uploaded 10 different videos, you spent all this time optimizing them, and you realize they're on the wrong channel, unfortunately, you have to delete them. You can't just move them to a new channel. So that's why it's always just important to make sure you're in the right channel, to make sure you have that set up, and to be able to kind of, just make sure that we're set before we really start moving forward. Okay, uploading videos. So what we're going to be able to do is in the upper right-hand corner, kind of showed you that little symbol with that purple box. You can kind of see it's a little camera with a plus symbol. You can click that and you can start uploading videos. You can really kind of start to, what we'll do is we can kind of upload the video and it's going to kind of take you through some details. You can fill those out as much as possible. They're going to be more technical kind of details, like for instance, the title, the description, the thumbnail, which again, we're actually going to talk about here, again, next. But what's kind of nice is now you can actually do this as you upload every video. You can, change the display settings, meaning like who can see this? Is this a public video? All of those types of things we're able to kind of do essentially right away. But also know that you can come back to any video at any time and be able to do some of the things that we're going to talk about here today, plus some. So some of the stuff that you're going to see right away when you start uploading a video is more of just your basic informational technical settings. To be able to do what we're going to kind of fully talk about, you can always get back to those technical settings, but now we're going to be able to actually edit the video and be able to use the editing software that we kind of talked about kind of previously. So I encourage you to kind of go through here, get as much information in there, use some of what we're going to kind of talk about here today of, again, where, how to do a title, how to do description. But then know that, again, you can come back to this at any point, or for instance, maybe you're watching this and you're realizing that you have 10 videos out there right now. Well, again, you could go back at any point and be able to optimize them. And then last but not least is you're going to a lot of times see a question out there that says, is this video made for kids? This is something that Google's kind of doing, and sometimes it throws people a little bit. What it's essentially asking is the main purpose or the main demographic of your video children? If it's not, it doesn't mean it's inappropriate for children if you click say no. It just means, is the main demographic for kids? YouTube has its own platform called YouTube for Kids, and they really are trying to make sure that, again, that content gets there, and they can also, effectively and correctly make sure that they can kind of see what videos children are kind of seeing. And this is just one of those steps to kind of help them. So again, just as review, if you say no, that does not mean that it's negatively impacted or anything like that. You're just saying, which I feel like most of us probably would that are listening to this, you're most likely going to say no because the video, the main demographic you're trying to go after isn't kids, it's most likely adults. So YouTube Studio, this is ultimately where we're going to be able to get all our videos. So once you go through that step and you upload your videos, if maybe they've been sitting there for 10 years and you've had them in there and you're like, okay, Ben, just watch this presentation, I'm going to go back and start updating my videos. This is where you're going to do it. You're going to go to the YouTube Studio. You're going to find in the upper right-hand corner of that screen that we talked about a couple screens ago. And we're going to go into kind of our dashboard here. We're going to be able to see kind of our videos, our channel settings, and our analytics for an account overall. Now, one thing to look at is the channel settings, especially we see that a lot of people haven't taken the time. This really just needs to be filled out once, but this can really kind of help your account and make sure that it's connected firmly to Google/YouTube and be able to kind of help them understand your account more in general. So you can see sometimes, we have some general settings, what is the name? Do we want to connect this to, again, analytics or AdWords accounts, some things like some more technical kind of info. Then we can get into some of our channel settings. We can update some, again, keywords. We have some advanced different types of kind of settings that we can kind of connect to this and kind of look at. You can put some watermarks on all of your videos with branding. Feature eligibility, you can see what features you're eligible for, or if you need to verify your account, or if there's some issues. That's ultimately where we can kind of see that too. We can also predetermine upload defaults. So every time that a video is uploaded, it might go into this collection. Every time something's uploaded, it might do this, this, and this. You can set those here. Also, you can ultimately, do permissions, which is really kind of cool. You can share access of your YouTube channel to other people without giving out your login. So if you're working with a marketing company, you have a new employee, you're working with a friend or family member that's maybe helping you out, you can simply share access of your YouTube channel to them with permissions. Okay, now going back to what we were kind of talking about with YouTube Studio and the Video Manager. So this again is where you're going to find all of your videos once you kind of upload them. Also, even if we did and we filled out when we uploaded our video initially, if we filled all the technical info, all of the title, the description, all of that kind of fun stuff, we still most likely want to come back here, because what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to do those extra editing things that we're going to talk about here kind of today as well. But this is ultimately where all of those are going to sit. So whenever you open up kind of one of your videos and you want to edit it, there's really kind of 5 main things that you can do to it, or that, again, features that you can access. And so one of them is details, 2 is analytics on that specific video, 3 is editor, 4 is kind of the comments that are actually happening on that video. And last but not least is 5 is the subtitles and kind of closed captioning. Okay, the first one, this is going to be kind of the details. Again, this is something that you're going to be able to do right away when you upload a video. But if you forget, you ever want to review, you want to change it, whatnot, you can kind of come back to here. So the first is looking at your, again, the title of your video. Now, a lot of times what we recommend is, if it's applicable, we look to kind of split the video into 3 different pieces. The first is a quick description of what that video is. This is more or less, of course, the title of your video. And you want to hopefully have a keyword or something that's descriptive or eye captivating of, again, getting someone to click on that video, kind of telling them what it's about. But a lot of times, there's 2 other things that we can kind of add to this, again, if applicable. And the one I'm really kind of saying is, if it's applicable, is going to be the location. So if you're very, again, location specific, it's really good to try to put a location in there. Now, location could be a state, could be a city. Again, you can kind of play around with that a little bit, but it can really help your SEO and really kind of help you determine or get after your demographic if you're very much going to be local. Now, again, if your national and location doesn't really apply to you, you would just simply negate that and just kind of skip that. But last but not least is then you should also put your company name in each title as well. So, again, at the end of your, again, title, to do a dash, again, whatnot, and then have the name of your company in there as well. And the same kind of methodology is a little bit done for the long keyword laden description. So we're going to take our description here, but now we're going to really be able to expand on it. So really, we want to split this into 3 pieces as well. The first is having a URL. This also can really help with our call to action. We talked about every video should have our call to action. This can also be a supplemental call to action. So while you might be telling someone that's actually watching the video what to do, you now can have a supplemental kind of text or description that's actually being able to kind of help you with this as well. So one thing that I always kind of tell people to do is to try to send them to a web page on your site. Try to make it as specific as possible. If you're talking about again, commercial roofing, then send them to your commercial roofing page. If you're talking about a specific product, make sure you send them to that specific product page. That's what's going to be kind of the best. Now, another little tip with the URL is that we have to paste in what we kind of call the ugly URL. What that means is that you can't just type in skolmarketing.com and it's going to be a hyperlink. It actually has to be the whole https://www, skolmarketing.com, whatever it may be. So, again, I always tell people, open up your website in another tab, find the page that you want to go towards, copy that and simply paste that into here. What that does is that actually turns that URL into a link, and now people can actually click on that and now be able to go right to that page that you want to do. On top of the fact that this also helps with SEO, because now you're creating a backlink back and linking back to your actual content on your website. So it kind of has a dual benefit, and that's ultimately why we want that kind of right there. And that's why a lot of times we like to lead with that. Another one that you're going to want to do is again, probably a paragraph long of a description of what the video is about. Now, again, you can go as pretty much as far as it will kind of let you. There's a lot of times a 5,000 character limit, but again, you could do 1 or 2 paragraphs describing what that video is about. So going a little bit more in depth, trying to use some keywords, because that ultimately can help you, again, within the algorithms and within the system to have the system understand what that video is about. And then last but not least, I always love to cap every kind of video off with a keyword, a boilerplate keyword kind of description of our business. So this might be the small description that you use on Google My Business, might be the small description you use on bios or your Facebook page, but it's usually just kind of a quick, usually few sentences, maybe small paragraph of what, again, your company is. So you want to accompany that with everyone, but your call to action and the description of the video, that should most likely be changing for most videos that you're going to be uploading. Also, there's a section, and this sometimes kind of throws people because this has changed over the past several years, is tags. This used to be called kind of meta tags, and we used to kind of put in all the different keywords that we thought were related to our video that would kind of help us rank better. Google doesn't use this anymore. Really what this section is for is if you see a box for tags and you want to utilize it, it's really meant for like misspellings is usually the biggest thing. So if you have different misspellings or things like that that might be related to your company, this is the place to kind of put them. But putting in other types of keywords and stuff like that, it just doesn't have an effect. That's ultimately why we want to do a really good job of having a keyword laden kind of description, and also having with a boilerplate of our company, because those things are going to have keywords in them that are going to help us rank better. And then last but not least is a custom thumbnail. So this is where, of course, you can again, pick the 3, different options that Google kind of selects for you. They kind of pick them randomly, but then you can also upload your own. So you can kind of have some fun with that. You can kind of play around with that. You can make that your own by uploading your own custom thumbnail there. So next is going to be the editor. So I've kind of alluded to this, that this, YouTube is a completely free video editing software, as well as kind of a video platform in itself. And we have some tools that can really elevate the quality of our video to the next level. So the first one is trimming it. So of course we can kind of snip it, and we can, again, take off, when we start a video and maybe there was a long, 3 minutes that we didn't know that start a video, we can kind of cut those off. So it's a very basic, of course, video kind of editing feature there with trimming it and kind of splicing and stuff like that. But we're able to kind of do that and start to trim video pieces out. A lot of times we're going to do that towards the ends of our video, most likely. Another one is going to be blur. What we're able to do is you're able to blur things out, so maybe, maybe we're outside and we got license plates and we want to kind of blur them. Maybe we got people's faces. We, again, kind of blurred them. Maybe you're doing a webinar and you accidentally had chat messages kind of coming up. You can actually kind of then just blur out that section up there as well. So, again, you're able to kind of have some of those things kind of, be able to control some of those things. And again, maybe, can blur out some of the pieces that you didn't want, that instead of, redoing your entire video, you can kind of just take it from there. One that I love to do and highly recommend is audio. This is where you can essentially, again, add copyright-free audio tracks to your videos, again, via YouTube, and be able to search for different types of, again, tracks out there. So like, I'll give you an example. I have a client that does Christmas lighting decoration. So a lot of times, they'll take sometimes, videos with their phone. They've also had, professional videographers come out there, but, when they take them with their phone, a lot of times they've got all of the background highway noise, they've got dogs barking, they've got people kind of talking in the background. Well, then we take that video of the Christmas lighting decorations, again, the display in the video that they created, we cut out the sound, and now we put like a Christmas jingle on it. It's amazing how much it kind of takes it kind of to the next level. Remember, these audios should be kind of enhancements to your video. Now, of course, someone doesn't need to hear this audio in order to be able to kind of, understand, what's happening on the video, or, again, you don't need to watch a Christmas lighting decoration video to like see the value of it, but the audio part of it really can enhance that and kind of elevate that kind of at the next level. You can also use multiple tracks and fade them and position them. So it really is kind of nice, especially, you see this a lot of times in like podcasting or, again, different types of YouTube shows that you have, music starting at the beginning, that it fades down. Then at the end of the video, it kind of fades up and it's right there as well. So this is something that can absolutely elevate your videos, and it's completely free. And I really highly recommend that you kind of take a look at it and see how you can add some of those audio clips and jingles to your videos to be able to kind of enhance them. Last but not least is the end screen. This is going to be, again, from an editing standpoint, this is going to be one of the most, again, important different types of features that we have here. This also is really going to help you when we talked about call to action. This is being able to add another call to action. You can kind of see an example here on the far right. You can kind of see what this kind of looks like. What we're doing here is we kind of have a template from YouTube, and now we're able to essentially kind of insert, another video we maybe want someone to watch after this, a playlist, and tell them to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We can have them go straight to our channel. Some accounts are able to kind of link. Now, if you're not seeing all of these features, it will kind of tell you. And remember when we talked about our account settings and the feature kind of eligibility, we're able to kind of go there and kind of see what we need to be able to do, because YouTube does allow different accounts when they're in good standing to be able to do different things than other ones that are either potentially new or not in good standing. So, but again, you can kind of see that this can be a call to action, again, to kind of control the viewer or to give them something, because if you don't, again, do an end screen, if you don't give somebody a recommendation, YouTube a lot of times is going to step in and recommend something for them. So absolutely, it's important to really kind of look at this and to be able to kind of see what you're able to kind of recommend and kind of, produce your own call to action that might also be in the video as well. Kind of a supplemental call to action, if you will. Okay, last but not least that you can do on every video, we talked about, again, the general settings. We know that there was analytics and comments that we didn't really kind of talk about. Those are just, more viewing. We talked about the editing with the different kind of sound and trimming and all of that kind of stuff. Now what we can also do is subtitles and kind of closed captioning. Now, here's the thing is that, again, YouTube's gonna, is going to pretty much almost for any video out there, gonna automatically add kind of closed captioning just to allow people that are hard of hearing or maybe in a position that can't listen to be able to still watch and enjoy your video. But here's my thing is, for two reasons. One is the reason that you want to be able to actually upload your own subtitles is twofold. The first is accuracy. Again, you're relying on, YouTube's AI to try to figure out what you're, saying in the video and kind of transcribing that for closed captioning. Now, again, their software is becoming much better and better, but it's really not always perfect. And a lot of times you most likely want to kind of control that. The second is kind of there's an SEO benefit, meaning that if you upload your own kind of subtitles or kind of, a transcription of your video, again, Google now is taking that as, okay, we know this is 100% true and we trust this because, they don't 100% trust their own, or they can't just rely on their own automated kind of stuff and transcribing they're going to take it from you. So if you take the time to actually transcribe your video and upload that to YouTube, it's a huge kind of bonus. Now, you can do this in a variety of different ways. They actually have a system on here where they'll actually put your video up and you can actually transcribe it as it goes along. If you're working with a videographer, most likely they're already just giving you your own kind of transcript and you're able to kind of upload that. Another way to kind of do it, which is a lot of times what we use, is using a company like Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And you could be able to hire someone potentially, as cheap as $5, $10. And they'd be able to try to transcribe that for you publicly. You don't have to give them access to your YouTube channel or anything like that. They'd be able to try to transcribe that video for you. You get the file and you're able to upload it. So again, you want to do that for two reasons. One is the accuracy and you kind of control that. The other one is kind of the SEO benefit and being able to kind of communicate more and more with YouTube. YouTube Live. This is another thing that sometimes people don't realize that you can do is if you're looking to broadcast live, you can do that via YouTube. What I really love about YouTube Live is that the live video itself is treated just like any YouTube video. So it's super easy to give someone a YouTube link because they probably dealt with a YouTube link their entire life. Or you can also embed that just like any other YouTube video onto a website or a web page. So YouTube Live is very much, very similar to all those other types of, again, live kind of, broadcasting or streaming kind of options. But this is also, again, completely free. So you can get some really kind of cool live analytics. You can do live chat, all of this other kind of fun stuff that you're able to kind of do. You could do with YouTube Live. So if you're looking to kind of broadcast stuff, you're looking for a solution, highly recommend, having that route through your YouTube channel and being able to kind of control that like any other YouTube video. So we've been kind of talking about this a little bit, but this is just making sure that we kind of touch point this on, again, kind of its own slide. But here's the thing is, video is super important, like we talked about from a marketing standpoint, but it's also just as important from an SEO standpoint. So if you're looking at how do we rank better within Google, how do I improve and enhance my online presence, everything like that, honestly, look at video. It's, again, YouTube's owned by Google and YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world. You can also have an opportunity if you, again, get your videos kind of going, they can actually show up in just on a google.com search, and you can even see that you even get a thumbnail next to them. So it's really kind of important to not only have this be a part of your marketing strategy, just overall, being able to kind of connect and knowing that people love videos and it's a way that we can potentially engage with them in a different way that maybe we have before, but also knowing that there's an SEO and search engine optimization benefit that can also benefit us and be able to kind of improve and enhance our online presence overall. So last but not least, for overall kind of talking about YouTube before we start to just, again, get into some social media video is YouTube analytics. So we've been talking about that we can kind of get our channel, analytics, we can get our video analytics, but this is just talking about both of those things, but really specifically what we can kind of see. So, you're going to see a lot of things that if you're familiar with Google Analytics, you're going to see a lot of the same kind of things here, our date range, our location, real-time traffic sources, where people are actually viewing these videos from. But my favorite type of stat is actually called the retention stat or the retention metric. What this actually does is, 1 second into your video, you still have 100% of people watching your video. But what happens 27 seconds in? What happens 2 minutes and 47 seconds in? How many people are still watching your video? What percentage is that? That's what retention essentially kind of tells you. So it's a super powerful stat because especially if we're trying to figure out, if we're putting all this time into videos, again, we want to know, if people are watching them, where they're watching them. If we're putting in different call to actions, we might want to make sure that we're seeing what percentage of people are viewing it. It's great to know that our video has 1,000 views, but retention is that next qualitative versus quantitative type of debate, when we get into that. So highly recommend you kind of taking some time and looking at your videos as you get going forward, or even past previous ones, and checking out your retention rates to kind of see how far, again, how close to 100% people are still watching your videos after that 1 second mark. Okay. To finally kind of finish this up, we're going to talk about social media video here a little bit. Now, here's kind of the interesting thing with social media video. This is the way that we really kind of recommend it, is it's creating your videos like we kind of talked about, then getting that file and uploading them to essentially kind of YouTube. So from YouTube, we can do all the editing, we can get all of that kind of set up. The reason we talk about doing that first, and then we can look to kind of share it to social media, because we also kind of have an SEO versus kind of marketing kind of, analogy here, or really kind of situation. So, when we have videos on YouTube, we're getting both a benefit on SEO more predominantly, and then kind of marketing. Whereas on social media, it's much more marketing benefit than SEO. The reason for this is because of that second bullet point. It's the instant versus long-term benefit of video. So when you upload a video to YouTube, it's going to be more of a long-term type of crawl. It's going to sit there for weeks, months, and years and gain kind of traction to help you with SEO. Just like SEO is a long-term business relationship with Google, YouTube's going to be the very kind of most likely the same kind of way of building up over time. Whereas on social media, there's much more of a marketing, impact because it's more instantaneous. We're going to see an instantaneous kind of, we post something on YouTube, or excuse me, on Facebook, and the impact is at the highest right away, and then it kind of starts to dwindle. It's the way that social media is, again, is done. Is that, we do a post, and probably by about at least 7 days, probably even sooner than that, it's no longer being kind of seen or talked about or anything like that. So that's kind of like the difference here. But what's kind of nice is, as YouTube videos are kind of increasing, our social media videos are kind of decreasing. So we get this kind of, again, double benefit, and that's why we want to be able to utilize both. But it's important to realize, how do we then utilize both? It's important, it's good to know that SEO versus marketing benefit. It's good to know the instant versus long-term benefit. But here's kind of the thing that I was talking about at the beginning of this slide, is you want to, our recommendation is to upload your video to YouTube, completely optimize it, completely edit it, and then get that. And then you can actually download a file of that edited video. From there, depending on which platform you're on, but if you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, then you would actually upload this to each individual platform. You can share the link, and I'll get into that in just a second. It just doesn't have the same impact, and these social media sites want you to actually upload more content and more authentic content. And to them, it's much more authentic content for you to upload the MP4 that you downloaded from YouTube of the video that you just got done creating, than it is just saying, hey, check out my video and putting a link to YouTube. So it can really kind of help you get a more instantaneous type of impact by doing that. But here's usually what we recommend is, again, you do that, you upload your video to YouTube, you edit it, you download it, and then you upload it with a post to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Now, the odds are that that video that you created, you're most likely going to do a post, again, very soon around, again, that time that you created the video. So let's say you do the video on, again, in January, and you're most likely going to post about that. It's probably unlikely that that video is never going to be applicable again, and that you wouldn't never want to post about it. So anytime after the first time that you post something on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter with your raw video file, what you want to start to do is, that's when it's then potentially applicable then to start then posting the YouTube channel video. Because what that can help you do is then accelerate that long-term impact of YouTube and get more people there. But the first time you do it, we want to try to take advantage of that instantaneous impact that social media allows as much as possible. So that's why we want to share the video. But then subsequent times, you can start to kind of mix it up and actually then share the YouTube link to kind of get people to your YouTube, channel, get people to your YouTube video. So it's really just, again, having all these different types of versions. And I'm not going to lie, it gets a little messy. It gets a little bit kind of redundant, because now you're having to potentially, if you have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, you're uploading a video 4 different times, again, for it. But ultimately, we're looking for the best ROI, return on investment, and repurposing content as much as possible. So that's ultimately what we're kind of talking about here. Social media does do live videos. They're not used as much in business as much as they were when they first kind of came out. Like I'm saying, you're usually going to see like a YouTube live for business, but you might see some social media live videos out there, and that's totally cool as well. And maybe that fits your demographic. And then you could also do it the reverse way. If you did a social media live video, you'd want to download that and potentially then upload that to YouTube. So you can kind of see here, at the end of the day, what we're talking about is, you need to take video seriously. You need to figure out what production type, what style of video, and then what platforms are applicable to you, and understanding the SEO, marketing, and social media benefits. And really what we're talking about here is just the value. Again, on our website, when we post videos on our website, we get an SEO, again, impact. We get informational, value, meaning that people go, oh, wow, there's more video, there's more video, and there's more resources for me here. We actually help our reputation and brand, because, again, not everybody's doing video out there. On social media, we can really increase engagement and help our brand. Emails are really good call to actions. We can't embed our videos in email, but we can say, hey, here's what we've got, come check this out. So it's just understanding, again, when we distribute videos then too, again, repurposing content as much as possible. Maybe we took, again, a blog, made it into a video. Now we posted it on YouTube. We posted on our 4 different social media sites. Now we're going to put it on our website. We already put it on social media, and now we're going to do an email campaign. you can see that that one blog post now really sprouted all of these different types of values, and it all sprouted from the blog, but you creating it into a video and then being able to kind of share that. So to really kind of recap this, and I know we've got some kind of questions here, and so please, feel free to kind of continue to put your guys' questions in the chat, is we're talking about the growth of video and really the power of video. Remembering 2/3 of people would rather watch a video than read something on your website. Somebody stays on your website on average 88% more time if we embed videos onto our website. So uploading them and editing them on YouTube, and then essentially just embedding that into our website can now increase our user experience and increase people staying on there. Talking about, again, making sure we have a keyword laden description, we keyword laden, again, title. We talked about the subtitles and maybe using those audio tracks. YouTube analytics, we talked about that retention rate. That's so important. And it's such a cool stat, but a super powerful qualitative stat as well. And then finishing it up that we talked about with social media video. So a lot of times you're most likely going to start with YouTube and get that video perfect, and then start to upload and distribute that different file or that same file to 4 different or 5 different, 6 different, whatever social media platforms you're on. You're going to be able to upload that file up there to kind of get the most maximum value out of that. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to questions here. There we go. So we have a question from Rachel that said, is there a limit to keywords? So when it comes to like meta tags or like keywords in your general settings, yes, there are some limitations. The funny part is it's not limiting you on the actual amount of keywords that you can put in there. It's actually limiting you on the characters of the keywords. So longer keywords are going to be there. But really, like we talked about, keywords are only going to be applicable for kind of like your channel settings. And then meta tags aren't really utilized for keywords as well either. Now, what you can do though, is make sure that you have good keywords into your content for your description of your videos. So for that description of your video, as well as the description of your company, make sure that you have, again, good descriptions in there. We have another question that says, does YouTube Live disappear? So you actually, once the live event is over, it's a great question. What's really kind of cool about this is then you get to control like any other YouTube video. So you could then turn the privacy to different ways. You could leave that public. You could do it as, again, as just a shareable link, essentially. You can make it private. You could take it down as well as if you want. So again, once YouTube Live is done, it essentially is just like any other YouTube video out there, and you're going to be able to control it from there. I have another question that says, okay, when we're first starting out creating videos, what do you think of teleprompters? Any recommendations? And so, again, yes, that's really going to be obviously a more personal, again, kind of decision. It depends on what type of video you're looking for. There are plenty of, again, apps out there. There's actually one. So I have an iPhone. And so whenever I do videos on my actual iPhone, there is an app called Teleprompter. And it is, there's a free version and paid version, but it's pretty much just puts the word on your screen so you can kind of look and do that. Also, if you're doing like PowerPoint or Google Slides like this, a lot of times there are opportunities for you to have notes at the bottom, speaker notes, that you're able to kind of do. So it does depend on what type of video you're doing, but absolutely, those are the types of tools or, again, just different types of, again, technology that you can use to really kind of help you make these videos and then also elevate those videos. So last question here. Again, if you guys have more questions, please put them in here. But the last one I have right here is from Mary Jo that says, how much does it make a difference that the videos are professionally produced? Now, that's a little bit hard question to kind of answer because it also depends on what your video is, what you're trying to kind of do. Here's the reality of it. Is that, again, most of us, of course, probably have a limited budget on what we're able to do when it comes to creating videos with a videographer or, again, producing videos with a videographer. So here's the thing is knowing that your videos don't have to be perfect. Even this video that we're going, there are times that I slipped up on my words and everything like that, but it's authentic. It's me, it's Skol Marketing. At the end of the day, we don't need things to be perfect. We need them to be us. Now we want them, a lot of times us is going to, and even authentically, we need them to be professional. We need them to kind of, again, have that extra level and being able to do that. But I don't think that you necessarily need to have all of your videos be professionally produced. Skol Marketing has a couple of them there that we've done some team videos. We've had videographers come in, but the majority of our videos are going to be kind of self-made, self-produced, as well as kind of some animation videos. So I really encourage you not to have that be a blockade for you being able to create videos. I honestly think that people build it up in their head too much, and they think that they need a videographer to kind of create these, and then they get stuck because it's a lot of planning, it's a lot of opportunity cost, it's a lot of cost to kind of be able to do that. And I'm not saying that those videos aren't important. Again, we have those, and I do think those are important. But again, with the technology we have today, even just in it with our iPhones and, again, even our Pixels and our computers and stuff like that, you are able to now create videos, again, a lot easier than it's ever been, again, ever made before. And at the very least, if you don't like being on camera, you don't like doing that, well, great. Now we have things like Powtoons, promo video, again, iMovie, things like that, that we can use templates, and we can at least start going through the process and get something out there. So a lot of times, your videos aren't going to be perfect, but they're necessarily, again, you just don't want them to detract from your brand. Again, so, again, just working on that. It's just like when you first probably started blogging. The first blogs you wrote probably weren't your best work, but you worked at it, you kept kind of doing it. It had an SEO benefit, so we left them there and we did that. And then we're able to kind of build up from there. Same kind of concept here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. My contact information is here in case you guys have any other, again, questions as you're going through YouTube videos, as you're going through social videos and whatnot. Feel free to kind of, again, reach out and ask me any questions, maybe from there. I also like to kind of offer is that, you can obviously reach out to us with any questions, but we also offer free consultations. These aren't sales pitches. If you want to talk about our services, that's cool. But also we know that sometimes it's a little bit different. If we've got B2B videos versus B2C, we just need to know if we're doing something right. I encourage you guys to take advantage of that. Simply reach out to us. We'll set up a free consultation. And it's really just our way of kind of giving back, again, for that. I also encourage you guys to check out our full workshop schedule. So you can actually see our full workshops at skolmarketing.com/workshops. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you guys have any further questions, feel free to reach out to me, but you guys have a great day. Skol.